What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Side Guys Football Forum. I am one of your co-hosts, Ember the Side, joined as always by my good friend, my good buddy, the other half of the Side Guys, Mr. Tad the Side. And Tad, you look to be, not at your usual station. What's going on here?
I'm more comfortable actually. I'm on my couch because I'm currently in Dallas, Texas right now, where we are experiencing some severe thunderstorms. So I have no Wi-Fi. So we are broadcasting from my phone, which I'm sure my data usage is going to reflect a couple weeks from now. So that's gonna be a fun bill to get.
Exactly. Well, you're coming in pretty nice and clear here, so yeah, we'll see how this whole segment
for the
goes.
first time ever, we get a full view of the T-shirt, of the Decide
Exactly.
Guys T-shirt. So this is how good our merch looks, people.
Exactly. So yeah, if you like that shirt, we'll definitely have a link for it in the comment section. You can get it on a darker t-shirt like Tad has. You could also get it on a lighter t-shirt, so whatever your preference is. But like usual, before the Thursday night game, we like to get into the matchups and see just what you can affect with your fantasy roster. So this week we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to play the Philadelphia Eagles. So I think once again these Thursday football matchups have been little one-sided.
It's not
I don't know.
Yeah,
there's potential. There's potential. We'll see exactly how it goes, but I guess just initial reactions, Tad. Like, I mean, are there any players that you like? Are there players that you don't like? I mean, just how are you feeling about the fantasy aspect with this particular game happening on Thursday night?
Well, I'll go non-fantasy first.
Okay.
I actually think this could be a closer game than some people think. The Eagles are no cupcake. They're not a good team. I'm not saying they're good or they're, like, oh, they just had this bad injury or whatever. But they're competitive. And the Buccaneers, that defense, I don't know what's going on with that defense. A lot of people are saying injuries, but it seems to me to be beyond injuries. Anyway, so I think it could be closer than it is. I'm laughing because I say that it's probably going to end up being Bucs by 20. But
yeah, hard to say.
it's rough. It's really rough. Sorry, Philly fans. But you know what? You guys have had a Super Bowl in the past 5 years, so you'll be fine. So getting into the fantasy aspect of it, though, this is a guy that I originally was just going to dismiss out of hand because I was like, yeah, of course people are going to start him. Actually, when it comes to ESPN leagues, he's only started in about 30 to 40% of rosters. That's Devonta Smith. I don't know why his starting numbers are that low. If you need a good flex option, he is a pretty good one. This is the worst part about doing this on the phone, by the way. It's so much obvious when I'm looking at notes, but I'm looking at notes here. Devonta Smith had a rough week 2 and 3. He posted under 5 points, but in the past 2 weeks, he's posted 10 plus points. So I think those, first, week 2 and week 3 were just kind of him and Jalen Hurts figuring out that relationship. Amar, you should know this by now. What's the stat I love the most talking about fantasy receivers?
Volume. So targets equals
volume and targets.
Fantasy potential. Yep.
You are exactly right, my friend. So in the past 2 weeks, Devonta Smith has had 8 or more targets in the last 2 games. So he is being thrown to a lot by Jalen Hurts. And, I mean, guys, let's not lie here. The Eagles are going to be down a lot in this game. The Buccaneers are probably, in all likelihood, going to jump out to an early lead, which means a lot of passing, which means a lot of volume for Devonta Smith. So I actually really like, again, I'm not saying the Eagles offense is a good one, but it's this weird dichotomy, right? How about that for a word, dichotomy? But it's weird because Jalen Hurts, who I'll get into in a bit, spoiler alert,
seems inevitable, right?
They're not good on the field, but fantasy-wise, other than Miles Sanders, they're all pretty solid. It's this very weird just relationship going on between fantasy football and reality football.
Yeah, you actually bring up the fact with the Bucs defense as far as being like, not as elite dependable as they were last year. Because, I mean, you brought it up earlier. You'll probably bring it up a little bit later. But Jalen Hurts could have a really good day because the Bucs defense is currently allowing the most passing yards in the NFL right now. So think about that game last week or 2 weeks ago, I can't remember, between Philadelphia and Kansas City, that barn burner where it's like, Kansas City, I think, scored 40 or something like that. The Eagles scored 30 or something like that. But it's
it was 42 to 30 Kansas City, if I'm not mistaken.
There you go. So it's like in that game, Jalen Hurts put up 28 fantasy points. So if you look at a game like this with, Tampa Bay's defense not being as buttoned up as they were last year, Jalen Hurts could be in for a really good day, could probably replicate, maybe get 25 fantasy points. And we brought this up many times before. Garbage time is great
baby.
time for Jalen
Garbage
Hurts.
time, baby.
So, like you said, if Tampa Bay gets out to an early lead and Philadelphia just can't keep up, I bet you in that fourth quarter, Jalen Hurts will just rack up all these rushing yards, rack up some passing yards. Obviously, that's where he'll make his hay, which will obviously lead to fantasy points for you. So, yeah, I mean that it could be a very interesting game. I completely agree with that because, yeah, Tampa Bay's defense is not that great. Obviously, their offense is really good. Philadelphia's defense is playing better, but their offense is, so-so. It's going to be a very interesting matchup, that's for sure. And one thing to note is that Rob Gronkowski is still injured. He is not going to be playing on the short turnaround. They want to keep him healthy and long-term.
I meant to ask you about that. So he's officially ruled out for this week.
Yeah, they want to keep him long-term, so they're like, we'll hold him out on the short turnaround, obviously having played on Sunday, playing in a couple days here on Thursday, so they're going to hold him out for this game as well. So if you have him on your roster, make sure you put him on your bench because he will not be playing. He'll probably be available the following week. He is making progress, but yeah, he's not 100%, so they keep him out.
We talked about this yesterday, but man, we got throat contusions, we've got emergency shoulder surgeries, we've got punctured lungs, like, what the hell are we watching here?
It's absolutely wild. Wild.
It's not safe.
All right. So who else do you like or not like as far as this fantasy matchup is concerned?
I mean, we've teased this one enough. Jalen Hurts. This one's pretty simple. And speaking of garbage time, this is a dude who lives on garbage time, right? Because this is a wild stat that I could not believe until I looked it up. And I'm not even kidding. As soon as I saw this, I was like, shit, maybe I should trade for him. Jalen Hurts is the 6th ranked fantasy quarterback this year. How many people would guess that Jalen Hurts is in the top 6 quarterbacks in fantasy football? But the whole reason is he's a solid rushing threat, and he thrives on those rushing touchdowns. Like I said in that, last week talking about, should you pick up this Eagle or that Eagle, is a lot of the Eagles' offense against the Chiefs came in garbage time. You even saw against the Panthers. That was basically garbage time, and they just took really good advantage of it, and they managed to mount this huge comeback, which, hey, props to Philadelphia. That was a very impressive win. I did not think they were going to be able to pull that off. But Jalen Hurts, just because of his rushing numbers, has solidified himself as a solid starter. So he has put up 20-plus points in his last 3 games solely because of his volume, and meanwhile, the Buccaneers are ranked 24th against opposing quarterbacks, and their secondary is still banged up. I know a couple of Antoine Winfield, a couple of those guys maybe coming back this game, but even with that, they're still not, polished. They're still, kind of getting in their game athleticism. So look, I like Jalen Hurts to start at quarterback for this game. I know that sounds insane. Start Jalen Hurts against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but just the pure volume that he's going to have to put out there just to stay competitive, I think he could put up a solid week this week.
Yeah, we talked about this before because I think I brought it up that Jalen Hurts was a top 5 fantasy quarterback, based on the league that you play in. Scoring settings is a little bit different. And I don't think he'll finish as a top 5 fantasy quarterback, but definitely he'll stay in that 5 to 7 range when the season is done. Exactly, because of exactly like you said, it's the rushing yards, which obviously gets you a lot of points as a fantasy quarterback, as well as obviously the garbage time passing yards that he's definitely going to be racking up in some of these games. So yeah, it was very interesting heading into the season as far as where you were sort of ranking Jalen Hurts. I think he was drafted outside of the top 5. Obviously, there's some cases. There are some leagues where he wasn't drafted at all. Exactly. There's obviously a lot of leagues where he's drafting outside the top 10, but I think he's definitely returning on that investment if you drafted him a lot later, really paying off for you here. So one interesting thing that I want to bring up here is that I think the Buccaneers may actually have a better running game on Thursday night. I know they have a prolific passing attack, obviously with Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown had such a great field day against Miami last week. Tom Brady's just, playing like he's 27 as opposed to 47 or however old he is.
It's what Lazarus Pit is this dude drinking from?
Seriously, talking to Ra's al Ghul, I guess, right?
Yeah, my God.
But the reason that I say that they may be in store for a better running day is because the Eagles are surprisingly pretty good at stopping the pass. They are one of 3 teams right now to allow less than 1,000 passing yards total. So, I mean, that's pretty surprising when you think about this team and just where they are. But Jonathan Gannon, your former, defensive coordinator with the Indianapolis Colts, is really getting things done there.
We talked about this in our last episode with our waiver wire episode. I think his absence is why the Colts secondary sucks so bad this year.
It's very possible. It's very possible. So on the flip side, though, the Eagles are terrible at stopping the run. They're allowing the 3rd most rushing yards in the NFL. I think this could be a very good day for Leonard Fournette. I know there's a little bit of is he the starter? Is it Ronald Jones? Giovanni Bernard is part of the picture as well, but Giovanni Bernard is purely the passing running back. I don't think he's going to be involved too much in the rushing attack, but I think Leonard Fournette could be in for a really good day because how porous the Eagles' rushing defense is. And so, yeah, as opposed to the passing, I know the passing attack will still be very good. I think they'll definitely still get pretty good numbers regardless of who you own, whether it's, Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, whoever it is, they'll still have a really good game. But in case one of those, 3 guys are limited, obviously Rob Gronkowski's still out. I think if you have Leonard Fournette, I think he should be started at one of your running back positions. I think he can have a really good day.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you look at what Antonio Brown did last week, he's getting all the love, right? And rightfully so, because holy crap, that breakout game. My God, that was ridiculous. So, well, first of all, I do like Antonio Brown here. So if you're hurting for a flex, probably start Antonio Brown if he's on your roster. But a guy who's kind of flown on the radar is exactly like what you said, was Leonard Fournette. He had 19 points. Again, this is a half PPR league I'm in. He could be a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on your league's format. But regardless, he had a good week last week. And I like what you said of each running back has kind of a distinct role, right? So Gio Bernard, he has the receiving back role. Leonard Fournette is the go-to running back role. Ronald Jones is the ultimate loser in this because he's that weird in-betweener. So Leonard Fournette, he had 70 yards and a touchdown, along with, here's the thing that I love, 4 catches for 40 yards. So he's starting to involve himself in that passing game a little bit more, right? And you assume the Bucs jump out to an early lead against the Eagles, which will probably happen. Massive knock on wood. They're going to be, keep on handing it off to him. And here's the stat, kind of, again, piling on what you said. The Eagles have allowed 15-plus points to running backs in every game this season. Every game. There's not even one weird week where it's oh, wow, they really did well against the run. They suck against the run every single week. So absolutely trust Leonard Fournette to have a good week. That's the sneakiest flex play I like the best. Put Leonard Fournette in your flex. I can almost guarantee you he's going to pay dividends.
Yeah, 100% agree with that one. I will say, though, that, Tampa Bay is currently leading the league in passing yards and passing attempts. So, like I said, the passing offense is still going to be really good. I think they're still going to make a lot of fantasy points for whoever you sort of roster, whether, like I said, Tom Brady, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, possibly Cameron Brate, too, with Rob Gronkowski out. Maybe he'll see some points, too, but it's just
how does the team get this many weapons? How is this
crazy.
Fair?
It's true. So, but yeah,
I really think Harvard.
I really think the underrated one there is, Leonard Fournette. I think he'll have a really good game there. So, any final thoughts you have here on Thursday Night Football? Any sort of last-minute notes you want to sneak in here, I should say?
You want to give that another try? No.
Yeah, I got it, finally.
Look, I'm not one to, make fun of other people for not being able to talk. But, look, I think this is a Thursday night matchup, far from our worst one yet. Shout out Panthers-Texans. But, I do think this will be a little bit more competitive than people think, because I think that's the frustrating thing about the Eagles is they can compete, but they just shoot themselves in their own feet so many times. And here's a hot take for you. I honestly would not be shocked if Sirianni got fired after this year.
Wow.
How about that? How about that to end on a hot take?
I feel that's a pretty spicy take. I think he's doing enough to sort of keep his job that maybe he'll hang on to it for another year. But to go one and done, I think he's still doing enough to prevent that. But you never know.
Yeah, those Eagles fans are rabid, dude.
That's very fair. That's very fair. But yeah, I think he'll be able to hang on to his job at least for another season. Depending on how things go for the rest of the season. Obviously things can sort of fall off the rails very quickly, but we'll see exactly. But no, I like that hot take. That's very, very, spicy, like I said. So those are our final notes there with Thursday Night Football. Hopefully it should be a good game, like we're hoping here between the Bucs and the Eagles. If it does get one-sided, then I mean, you got the Giants clincher game also. Game 5 of the NLDS, so you can watch that instead. I mean, there's a lot you can watch Squid Game on Netflix if you haven't watched it yet.
I was just about to say, I was like, yeah, let's appeal to football fans with baseball. That would go well.
Hey, it's a very competitive game. It could be very exciting stuff. Come on. But yeah, let's hope that there's a really good game there between the Bucs and the Eagles. And yeah, like I said, we appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure you hit subscribe wherever you listen to the podcast, and obviously hit subscribe on the YouTube channel here. And make sure you follow all the handles there on the scroll there. You got the show handle D Decide Guys, my personal handle I'm Decide23, Tad's handle Tad Decide94, and of course, like we mentioned earlier, if you like the shirt that Tad's wearing, you can get that logo on a T-shirt. You can get it on a mug. You can get it on a pillow. I mean, stickers. I mean, you name it. That's available at the website. We're going to drop the link in the comment section, so make sure you go check it out and buy some merch. And hey, can't thank you enough for tuning in, guys.